Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I don't know if you've ever been here before. I'm Karen, and today we're going to be painting, four small landscapes. This is acrylic paint on watercolor paper. I don't know if you've seen the other video. It was how to mix acrylic paint. We did a color wheel, how to choose the paint, how to mix the paint, all that good stuff. When I was finished with the color wheel, I had all this extra paint, so I decided to do these little landscapes. This is what we're going to paint today. Get out your acrylic paints. We're going to mix and we're going to paint clouds and trees. And you know what? I didn't even have reference to paint these. We're just going to dive in and mix colors. So hey guys, I thought it'd be fun since I just got finished doing the acrylic color wheel. I had all this extra paint on my palette, so I decided to grab a piece of watercolor paper, which I have plenty. I'm going to tape it where there are 4 different areas, and I thought I would use the extra paint to paint some little landscapes. Now, I'm not even looking at any references or anything, so if you missed the video on how to create a color wheel, and go check it out. And I know it sounds boring, but you know what? You learn so much when you do a color wheel, and you want to go back and do it so you can learn how to mix one color with another color to come up with a third color. Then there's will be a link in the description below. So I'm starting out with green. I grabbed some green and I just added it to the bottom of each painting. Now I may change along the way what each painting is going to be, but I mean, you know, it's a landscape. So you're going to have green on the bottom, maybe blue on the top for the, and then the other thing about it is, you know, we can change where the horizon line is. We may want the horizon line to be higher or lower. Let's just jump in here and start painting. So what I'm doing is I already had blue on my paintbrush, so I grabbed some white and I'm kind of mixing them together and painting some clouds on this one rectangle. And like I said, I'm just kind of playing it by ear. I decided to go up and mix some in the one above it. And I felt like I had too much blue on it, so I did wash my brush. And now I went in with some yellow. We're going to have green and yellow on one. In this left section, I decided to put in some trees. I don't know exactly how large the trees are going to be. I just started adding long strokes of green and then grabbed some yellow and mixed it up. And I'm just adding different colors. So I grabbed red. I was thinking that maybe this bottom left quadrant, maybe it should be a fall landscape. So I added some rusty looking colors for like a fall landscape. Maybe the trees are starting to turn. I don't know about you guys, but I love playing in paint. Mixing paint, getting a little dab of this, a little dab of that, and mixing. I just love to play in paint. And then I thought, do I want to have one that has an ocean in it? Do I want it to be, I don't know. I mean, you know, once I started playing around with it, some of it I liked it, some of it I didn't. And that's another thing about acrylic paint. Once it dries, you can paint over it. If it's wet and you put something down and you go, yikes, I don't like it at all, take a piece of paper towel and just wipe it off. There's nothing wrong with that. Since I made that decision and I think that the bottom left one is going to be like a fall landscape, I decided to go in with my yellow and add more yellow to the trees and everything so they look like it's the fall. Since I decided to make the top right one, a field of flowers, I am adding green and I'm changing the horizon line to be higher on the painting so we can see more of the flowers and less of the clouds and the sky. As you can see, I'm just taking my brush and kind of scribbling it around on the paper. This is what's really fun about painting with acrylic paint, because I can just, slop it down, scribble it around. It's really fun to mix it all on that piece of paper or on my palette. And it's just fun to scribble it all around. And remember, we can always wipe it off. We can always paint over it if you don't like it. But it's fun to just kind of play. And so I hope that you're painting with me, and I hope you're having fun like I am. It's funny right here. I work so hard. I think, oh my gosh, this would be a really great beach. And then when I took the tape off, look what happened. There's no beach. Funny, right? So I decided maybe one of them would be a field of flowers. The one, I think it's the right top section here, I'm going to make a field of flowers. I'm adding purple, and I'm mixing the purple and the red. I'm mixing the red and the blue to make purple, and then I had purple on one of my other palettes, and I'm kind of mixing it with white. So one way you can create a field of flowers is basically just grabbing your color and dotting it on your page and just doing one dot after the other. And as it hits the page, it will blend a little bit with whatever's on the page already. So I'm taking the red and the blue and the purple and I'm mixing it with the white that's already on there. And I did decide to change my brush. I got a smaller brush so then I can make maybe some longer streaks to show where the direction the flowers are growing, and also to make smaller marks. All right, I decided to finish up my little landscapes. I gotta finish up my little landscapes. Gotta finish up the little landscapes. So I have let my 4 little landscapes dry, and now I'm starting to paint over, and I've decided that the top left one, I'm gonna change the horizon line and make the horizon line lower and make a large sky. So it's good to have like a horizon line, and this is, this is where the beach, I'm gonna have water splashing up right here, maybe a little water. Let's see, water is gonna be maybe a different color. Yeah, have this water is kind of a different color. And if you water down your watercolor, if you water down your acrylic just a little, I have too much on my brush, then you could do like maybe there's some waves coming in here. And you can see the sand beneath, you can see like the sand underneath it. And maybe there's some foam. How about I get white? And dab in some foam. Something that I do a lot is rinse my brush off. Try very hard to rinse my brush off. Okay. This is going to be the sky, kind of. Going back in with another coat of dark for what may be the horizon line. And maybe the ocean has a mixture of this teal color and this dark blue. I need to let that dry a little more. And then we'll put another coat. We'll put a little bit of that teal in the sky because that makes it pretty. Kind of brings in all the colors together, that the sky has that teal color in it. Okay, we'll let that dry and we'll put some clouds in there. Let's see, this is a little rough up here. We have this field of green with some flowers, but I think the clouds, this kind of needs to be tamed. It's like a thunderstorm. I guess it might be pretty if you had a thunderstorm boiling in the background. Okay, it's really wet. So we need a horizon line up here. So I had run out of green. I had to add yellow to my palette. I'd had plenty of blue and green, but I wanted a lighter green, so I had to add yellow, and that's what I'm mixing up now. Like more of a dark green right here, maybe. So I started adding rust in here, so I think I'm going to go in and make, maybe even add more of the rusty color, maybe even in the trees. Maybe it's fall in this painting. Maybe I need to go in and take out, you know, the leaves are starting to change. So maybe the leaves are starting to change in these trees. So one thing to remember about acrylic paint is if you are using yellow and you get the yellow right out of the tube of paint, then the majority of the time it's very translucent. And I don't know why it is, but almost every brand of yellow paint is translucent. So if you add a little bit of white to it, then it's more of an opaque color. Otherwise, it's almost like watercolor, and it just kind of blends on top of it like a glaze instead of actually covering up what's underneath, whatever color it is that's underneath the yellow. So right here, this is a great example where I have added a little bit of white to my yellow and it makes it a little more opaque. Don't miss another video. Subscribe today. Going in and cleaning my brush really good. It had some blue in it. Just kind of picking up the blue. I don't want blue. I wanted this orangey. And I'm mixing red and yellow to create this orange. I'm adding white to it so it kind of stands out a little more. And that's what's on my brush. I'm adding it in here just to kind of change this up a little. Since I started this down here, kind of an orangey color. All right, that's kind of different than what we had earlier. A little change. So now this is sort of dried. I do need another coat here. We're gonna do a little bit of ocean and a big sky, kind of like what we're doing here, only I added this ocean. We have a little bit of the sand in front of it, which I think is fun. Do something different. A little bit of sand. And it has a lot of blue in it. I'm going to go back in with a little white. Kind of lighten it up just a tad. All right, so then we're going to put in, I'm going to try to put in more sky up here. This is going to be the ocean. That's the horizon. So we're going to kind of, the step here is to go in with white and then create these the big fluffy clouds. Maybe down at the bottom like that, and then they go up. And you might want to add a little blue just to give it a little. And some of them might streak and have a puff. And I'm just kind of dabbing. You know how they're kind of puffy? As they get further away from us, sometimes they just, you just see a hint of the atmosphere. So the brush that I'm creating these clouds with is a filbert brush, which is basically kind of it's not a round, it's more of a flat brush, but it has a curve instead of a square at the end. Ooh, that's pretty. It's good to like off balance it too. Like the center point is here, but I have this break right here, so it's off center, which is good. I mean, we don't know exactly where it is, where the tape is, but that's pretty close. So, let's see, what do I want to do with this? I want to do the, I hope you're painting these clouds with me, and just to let you know, I'm just dabbing the white onto the page, and it's kind of mixing with the blue that's underneath it. And remember that clouds aren't just one big pile of white. They're actually a combination. They have translucent areas where you'll see the sky behind them, and sometimes they'll be more opaque. And I'm just playing around with it, and I hope you're painting these clouds with me. So let's see, do I want to add anything else in here? It's almost as if I want some color or something. I have this color here in the sand. I'm thinking I want to add maybe just a tad of this color, maybe with a little extra yellow in it, just to give it maybe a little more color. Trying to think of where I want to put it. Just like a little bit here. And then it would have to mix up into the clouds a little. And you'd probably need it all the way across. That is the horizon. Maybe it's the sun's going down, or I don't know. Yeah, I think that helps a lot to give it a little more color. Sand, make it a little brighter. I'm putting a little more orange into the sand just to give it a little more color. It does seem to be very bland to me, you know. And then, I don't know, up here, if you add a little. There, I think that's good. Now, I covered up some of my white, the white waves. So I probably will go back in once it dries and add a little bit of white waves. I'm thinking I like this, only this is like really white. I only want to kind of smooth it out maybe a little. And maybe even add, oop, I sloshed. If you slosh, you can go in if it's dry, dab a tiny bit of water and kind of go whoop whoop. Oh, see, it took up a lot of paint. I didn't mean to do that, so I'm gonna have to go back over that. But usually I have like a Q-tip, and I just use a Q-tip. Oh, found them. But usually I have a Q-tip, and I just can go with the Q-tip. So I will need to go back over that. So this is a really white cloud, and I feel like you need to have a really white cloud on each side to make it look like it's supposed to be there. Kind of balance it off. Okay, and I want to add more flowers. This one now needs a little bit of pop, like dark color. Now I know we haven't even touched that one, but that's okay. I'm thinking with this one, I want to add in some darker colors at the bottom. We had this dark brown. I need to mix up some dark brown, or like I said, sometimes you just want to grab a tube and use a tube of paint instead of mixing. But if you're going to create brown, so let's say we're going to mix brown, you're going to get opposite colors on the wheel. So what you're going to do is look at a color wheel and what are the opposites, the blue and the orange, or the red and the blue, or the purple and the yellow. That creates more of a green, more of a gray color. So if I get a little bit of the opposites, I come up with purple, but if I add like a yellow to it, kind of more green, there's brown. So I did blue, red, and yellow to come up with this brown. May not be as dark as I want it to be, but we'll see. I didn't mix up very much. I think I need more than that. So I'm going in, getting red and blue, which makes purple, and going in with yellow, mixing all of them together to create a brown. If I have more blue in it, it will be a darker, cool brown. So going in here and create, this brush is almost too big to do what I want. So I got a little bitty brush so I could make skinny trees. I'm picking up the paint off the brush and just putting it on here just to create a little dark. You want it to be a little darker, have a little bit of high contrast somewhere in the painting. And maybe even up in here. Shadows maybe within this tree. And a little shadows within the tree. There. All right. Okay, drying my brush off, and so I feel 3 of them are done. I may add some more here. Oh, I needed green right there. So I'm gonna go in, get blue, get yellow, mix up some more green. Because I messed that up, so we're gonna paint right over it. That's the thing about acrylic paint. If you mess something up, you can just paint right over it. So that's basically what I'm doing there. Getting the horizon line as straight as possible. Not perfect, but that's okay. I have my beautiful field of flowers, but I think I want to add a little more color and a little more to my field of flowers. So if you already have paint there, the best way to add maybe pink or a light purple or whatever color you want to mix up, the best thing to do is to go in with pure white and figure out where you want to put it. And you know, we're not really picky. It's kind of random, but we are going to go over these dark colors where we're going to put these flowers. Now, once all the white is dry that we put on here, and we want to make sure that it's uneven. You don't want it to be straight because most field of flowers are not. I'm going to let the white dry, and then we'll mix up some pink and purple. Or I like this color right here. I don't know where it came from. I got to figure out how to mix it up, find it again. I want to add more of that. Once the white is dry, then when I mix that color up and I add it, it's gonna pop on the white paint. That's what you can do with acrylic paint you can't do with watercolor. All right, now I'm gonna go through, I need to do something with this guy. I don't know what I wanna do with him. So I kinda like this over here. So I think I'm going to mix up this color again. And add more of it. Ooh, it's a lot brighter than I thought. Much brighter than I thought. So I'm going in and darkening it up quite a bit. And we'll have it like it's, I don't know, like it's ocean or something. I have so much paint on here. I just got a lot of the paint off because there's so much paint on here. I think originally I was doing flowers, but I like this whole ocean. I really like this ocean that we were working on here. You know, I really like the ocean. So I think that's kind of what I want to do over here. I'm cleaning my brush, drying it off. It got really wet, and I'm mixing up some other, like a darker blue, a much darker blue for a horizon. Gonna put in a horizon here of this ocean. Oh, that's a pretty color. And then I'm gonna rinse really, really, really good because I have this dark color on there. And I'm gonna make a big sky kind of like this. I'm just really into that. I don't know why. Makes me think about being at the ocean, right? Of course, now I need to go in and make sure that I cover up these red dots because I'm not putting flowers in this now. And white is very good for covering up. So you add white, and then as I add white and blue, because I think I'm gonna add some blue into this, so it's a richer color. I think I wanna add some of this. Yeah, that's pretty. So I can still see a little bit of those flowers. I'm going to go in, or the little red dots, I was going to make flowers. And I'm going to go in and add a darker color on top of this white. I'm still covering up those dots, but as you can see, it's very easy to do. And the paint is really wet, so I'm able to go mix right here on the actual piece of paper. And I can still see those just a little bit, so I'm gonna go back in and add a darker color. I'm still trying to cover them up so you don't see them. That's probably not enough, the blue. Okay. So I'm taking the blue and the red and mixing up a really dark purple just to give it some contrast to put right here as the horizon line. There, that's really pretty, isn't it? That worked out nice. Ooh, that was really dark up there. I went in and took a bunch of the paint off so I can go back in and smooth this out. Wow, pretty, pretty, pretty. Okay, so I need to decide if I want to add or do anything else to my paintings. Oh, I wanted to add some more white foam down here at the bottom. That was what it was. I'm just dabbing a little bit, and I'm going to go in on the edges and add that white foam. Okay. The only thing we have left is to add those flowers. Let's see. I want to try to find that color again. And I think that it is the magenta and a little bit of yellow. I don't know. Let's see if I can come up with, and maybe some white. Because it's pink, but it's not quite straight pink. I think it had a little bit more in it, like yellow in it. I don't know about you guys, but I love playing in paint. Mixing paint, getting a little dab of this, a little dab of that, and mixing. I just love to play and paint. Okay, see if that's close to that color I wanted. It's close, it's not quite what I want. I think, I don't know, what do I need to add? Maybe it's too orangey. Maybe I need more red in it. And my brush that I've been using is a 10, but I think it's too big for these little bitty flowers. So I'm gonna go try to find a smaller brush, which takes longer to, if you have a small brush, it takes a long time to mix paint just because you're using something smaller, right? And Well, that's pretty much that color, I guess. I don't know if it has too much white in it. I'm trying to figure out what that color is. So I added more magenta to it to see if I can get rid of some of the orangey color. Yeah. All right. So now what I want to do is go in and add more of the purple, because we now have all this other color. It's kind of overwhelming. So I'm going in and adding a little bit of this purple. I want something darker in there too. So I'm taking my purple, I'm adding dark blue to it. It's good to add contrast. So I'm putting in some dark, probably a dark purple with red. I did red and, yeah, something darker down here. I added a little red and blue mixture to make a purple. So I went back to that pink and I added white to it so I can put like maybe a little highlight on this other color. Almost need more white. We have all these white dots here. Put some pink on them. Now I went back in and I have straight magenta, because remember we have a lot of paint on here. So maybe if I put magenta, I could like mix it with some of the stuff that's already here, just to give it some higher contrast. I had a lot of water on my brush, so I took some of the water off. I think we're done. And I had so much fun painting this painting, and I hope you had fun painting the painting too. And I will see you in the next video.